Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. We have a notable guest on today. She's an American business executive, designer, and chief design officer for consumer devices at Google. She's worked at Google since May 2014. Prior to being appointed chief design officer, she led the Google Glass team at Google X. Her metalwork and jewelry design is in the permanent collections of 12 international museums, including the Smithsonian, and in February 2019, she was named one of the 15 most powerful women at Google by Business Insider. Please join me in welcoming and celebrating Ivy Ross. Welcome.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
I am.
Okay, question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
I make magic. I make something from nothing uh, with others. Right now, I see myself as the orchestra conductor that gets to know my instruments really well. We align on what we want to make or what the symphony is that we want to play. And my job is to say, hold that vision and hold that line and say a little more drums, a little less trombone. Um, so that's what I do now with an incredibly talented group of folks at Google. I mean, I basically created this department almost from scratch. Google was not doing very much around designing physical things. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have built this discipline.
Great. And just a quick note for the audience, if you guys are interested in other 2025 episodes, check out the episode with industrial designer Kareem Rashid. That was a big one for us. Number two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Hmm. Maybe the fact that I've studied making the invisible visible, or I see things beyond what they appear to be. And I think part of that, my dad was an industrial designer, and he taught me how to look at everything and pay attention to what gets my attention, and then how to extrapolate that information and apply it to other things. But I've also studied biogeometry, which is kind of the science of shape, and really looking at how different forms and shapes give off different energy. I've studied energy medicine. I've studied sound and vibration. So I have a number of other interests that I believe make me who I am.
Great. So number three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I love making things, manifesting things. I think we make in order to know ourselves better. And so it's quite an intimate process. And throughout my career, I've always been a maker. And I realized that, there's a real special connection between hands and mind. And I love that connection. And I love bringing personal expression forward. And solving problems, I should say. I really, design is about solving problems. So it's the combination of a personal point of view, an expression, while solving problems for large numbers of people. Because I've also, done one of a kind work, or quote unquote been an artist. And I think an artist puts their soul on a pedestal and hopes that someone comes by and resonates with it. A designer solves problems that millions of people are going to hopefully respond to.
Great. Some people struggle with number four, and the question is, what does your future look like?
I'm super excited about it. My future looks multidimensional on many ways. I just continue to, I wrote a New York Times best-selling book, co-authored, Your Brain on Art, How the Arts Transform Us. So I'm very interested in, besides design, in art. And now that the science is here, to prove what some of us have known intuitively, that the creative arts and design, our bodies are wired to engage, whether being the receiver or the maker, and it aids in our health and well-being. But when I say multidimensional, I am interested in so many things, and I think the future is continuing to weave them and bring them together in different layers that will connect. My work in sound and vibration that I started 40 years ago is becoming more relevant, will become more relevant in the future. So I think some of these things I intuitively have studied will become imperative soon.
Great. Five we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Well, I think space changes the way you think. So place is super important. And I've worked hard my whole career, but I'm grateful to have a place outside of Santa Fe in a little town called Galisteo that is 5 acres in the desert. But you look out on that back portal and it's full of possibilities just because of the open space. And I call that place Still Water. I can explain that in a minute. And then I have another place at Sea Ranch, Northern California, that I call Standing Wave, which is right on the ocean. That I sit on that deck, and it's also looking out into the sea. I mean, we are literally on the edge, about 30 feet up. And I realize, and one is Standing Wave and the other is Still Water, because the place in Galisteo, I found out, used to be underwater, the entire basin where I live. And now it explains it, because I get the same energetic feeling when I sit out on both decks. And I think it's because I'm feeling the energy of what is now just still water. So those kind of places allow me to think about and create all kinds of possibilities. I feel like I need that open space looking into nature. I do my best thinking there.
Great. 6, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Um, don't let up on your intuition. Go deeper. And you're here to only live the life that you're here to live, not what others tell you.
Great. And what's a day in your life like?
Always chock full, always super different. So 3 days a week, I drive down. I live in Mill Valley. I drive to Silicon Valley. That's about an hour and a half to 2 hours each way. So I listen to books on tape, music, or use the time to have phone meetings. I get that down to the design center, which is, I'm very grateful also, Google let me design with an architect the interior of our design center, which very much supports the aesthetic we've developed. So it's not like any other building in Google, because space matters. So I remember saying to the architects, we need a design library. And they were like, well, what do you mean? We're the company that digitized the world's information. I'm like, no, designers need to touch and feel and hold physical things. And so when you walk into the building, it's like a 3-story high bookcase that follows the staircase up that's exposed. And the whole building is a tension of opposites, I call it. Masculine, feminine, analog, and digital. You'd have to see it to understand, but it represents the both and mode, not either or, which I'm a big proponent of. And so then my day is filled with nonstop, back-to-back meetings, everything from meetings on color and material to executive forums I sit in to one-on-ones. No day is the same. I come home, I have a sound bed that I lie on and listen to binaural beats, getting both halves of my brain together, and other things to restore energy. And then the evening is after dinner is spent often on my other projects that I enjoy, like working on um, articles about the book, or I do this work with a partner called Inner Vision, which is using imagery to help women release any suppressed issues that are standing in the way of their success. So it's chock full.
Great. Eight is about lifelong learning, a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
This is probably what I major in, lifelong learning. I am always, it's how I got into sound and color and light and biogeometry and all the things. I'm someone who I read a lot. And as I said earlier, I pay attention to what gets my attention. And so when something gets my attention, or when I read something that I am intrigued with, I will, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, go down the rabbit hole and be relentless on wanting to know more. I'm insatiable and wanting to know more. So for example, my interest in sound started with me reading about a man in France that was, he was a jazz musician, and then he started bombarding cancer cells with musical notes and had pictures of what under the microscope of finding that resonant frequency and like exploding the cells. I'm like, oh my God. And this was early in my career, like 30 years ago. And I hopped on a plane and ended up studying with him for a week. So I find what gets my attention, I trust it. And that led to a whole 30, 40 years of understanding and studying with everything from ancient technologies of sound and vibration to contemporary ones. Um, so I think that's how I stay a lifelong learner, as I pay attention to what gets my attention, and I'm relentless about when I feel a connection to something, I could feel it in my body, and I know it's something I need to know more of. It's part of my journey.
Nice. Nine is about tools. Can you talk about your use of digital and or analog tools?
I think I think all of technology is a tool for man. And so, and I started as a craftsman, or do you say craftswoman? I don't even know. So I love physical tools. I love their ingenuity. I think, I mean, hands are tools as well. Um, and I love digital tools that take some of the rational things off our plate. I think um, I use tools for efficiency or for creative expression, but mostly for efficiency so that I can have time to be more human.
Nice, beautiful. Halfway, number 10, life work balance, work-life balance. How do you deal with it?
Ah, my husband's sitting across the table. He could tell you that I am, I'm actually okay. I work really hard and I play really hard. And, luckily it's been a different situation at different stages in my career. It was a lot harder when I had a daughter at home. Um, it's kind of the beautiful thing about getting older. You go through different stages, and so now I can find more of a balance between the work and it's funny because I think that boundary, as I'm saying it, has broken down in that I love my work is my passion. So it's all one thing. Now that I have no kids in the house, it's pretty seamless, actually. I think of them as one. I don't. Did you say work life? Was that what you said?
I say life work or work life.
Life work. Yeah. The great news is I love what I do for work so much, and it's so much a part of the life I live in terms of design and creation that sure I have a job I go to, but it's very fluid. Um, More so than ever now in my career.
Mm.
I think in the past it was more distinct line, but now I find when I think about it, there's a lot of fluidity and dynamic between it. So it's hard for me to even, um, like, I don't intentionally have to create a balance. I think it just naturally happens. Like, my heart aches when I don't get to Sea Ranch enough to walk along the ocean to clear my head. So it's kind of this natural rhythm that I get into, knowing what I need when I need it.
Great. 11. If you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Yeah, the only thing I think about is maybe being an architect. You know, I think I'm a builder at heart in terms as an archetype, in terms of I realize I build even when I did my metal work, my jewelry, it's building it's building physical things, building teams. I've even built a company or building houses. I love the process of building a house, whereas most people hate it. Um, and so the only thing I ever think about is, I wonder what would have happened if I had become an architect.
Mm.
But I think I'm a builder because I think I'm a builder at heart.
Mm. Nice. What would you not like to do with your career?
Have it go backwards. What I mean by that is I've never done the same thing twice, and I don't want to ever do that. I think life. I learned early on that life is not about the end goal; it's about the journey. And I learned that because when I was in my 20s, I got my metal work in like 12 museums around the world because I invented some new techniques. And here I was 22 in 10 museums. And there are people that spend their whole life saying, if only I could get my work in a museum. And the ego trip lasted 2 weeks, and then life was back to normal. And I realized, oh my God, this was a gift to realize that it's not about some end game, if only I was or became. It's life is about the journey. And so I made it's interesting. People see my resume and they say, well, wait a minute, you were a metalsmith, a jewelry designer, you designed toys, you worked for Calvin Klein, Swatch Watch. Are you a toy designer? Are you a shoe designer? Are you a technologist? What are you? And I smile, and it's because I never want to have the same experience twice. I want to take myself with me and my learnings and apply myself to a new challenge. I mean, that's what I think of in terms of living a creative life. So I guess the answer would be I never want to do something I've already done again in my career.
Mm. Great. 13. Do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
My favorite word is resonance. Um, I probably have a favorite quote, but it doesn't come to mind. I'd say resonance because I think I am more into quantum physics than I am a materialist. And I think we're all vibrating atoms. And I learned just from even the man that was breaking up cancer cells with musical notes is that it's all about coming into resonance with things, with people, with ideas. And so I learned that word from studying sound and vibration, and I find it useful even when I think about life. Am I in resonance with this place? And it's hard to describe. It's not, um, it's a big feeling when I feel like I'm in resonance, with a place or a person.
Mm.
It's a word that goes, I think, is broader than lots of little details.
And do you have a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
No, I don't like, yeah, the energy of I hate this, the word hate.
Mm.
I hardly ever use it. And I think even the vibration of it doesn't sound good.
So you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Curious.
What keeps you up at night?
Um, Worrying about my loved ones, family.
Do you have a dream you're chasing?
I'd like to write a new operating manual for humanity with a bunch of others.
Cool. What inspires you?
Nature, beauty, um, awe, like seeing something that I haven't seen before. Um, being confronted with new things and taking them in.
Great. Last couple here. Number 19, any advice you'd like to share?
I think for others to tap into who they really are, not and what makes you happy, what brings you joy. I think success um, is a strange word. Um, I think it's deeper than the surface. It really is, are you living the life that you're here to live? And if you haven't figured that out, um, I think start figuring it out of, you know, what is it that uniquely you can contribute and is really what your soul wants
Mm.
is, I once, I was on the board of the National Institute for Play, and the opposite of play is not work. People think it is, it's depression. And he taught me, if you're ever stuck, um, think about when you were a kid, 0 to 5, you know, and you were happy playing. What was that play activity? Like literally, what were you doing? Were you building with blocks? Were you making sandcastles? And then look at what you're doing. Fast forward today, and do you see a connective tissue in an abstract way? Obviously, you're not going to be building sandcastles, but and it's never failed. There's friends of mine I've asked that, and you see this big smile come on their face as they remember when they were happiest playing as a child, and then they think about what they're doing today, and those are really happy. There is a connection in an abstract way, and I think that's because when we come in to be a human, we're little souls unjaded by what society or our parents tell us we should be or we should do, and it's just pure expression. And so I think the idea is, if you can remember when you were in that place before anyone, the shoulds or coulds came in, or you're not good at that, or you can't do that, and you were just this little soul expressing yourself, what were you doing, and what could you be doing today that makes sense, that is close to that?
Great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
Hmm. Right now, the call to action is bring more love and beauty into the world. And keeping tabs on me. I have to say, I am not a big social media person for my personal life because I have too many other things I'm interested in. I am on LinkedIn and Facebook, but I would say Google me every so often or go to yourbrainonart.com and sign up for any news that comes out of um, that adventure, which is really how the arts and architecture can help us in health and well-being. So if you're interested in that, go to um, yourbrainonart.com. And otherwise, yeah, just Google me every so often. You'll see what I'm up to. Or um, once in a while, I'll do something on Facebook or LinkedIn, but hardly.
Great. Well, thanks so much. It's a true privilege to have you on the show, and I'm just so happy you're here. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.